Hi everyone, so let's start the next question. 1193 monthly transactions, and then the table name is transaction, and it is considered as a medium question as per lead code. So it has 5 columns: ID, country, state, amount, and transaction date. ID is the primary key of this table, so every record will have a unique ID. The table has information about incoming transaction, and state is an enum of type approved or declined. So either the transaction will get approved or declined. Write in SQL query to find the each for each month and country, the number of transactions and their total amount, the number of approved transaction and their total amount. Okay. So from here we can see that we have to figure out for each month and country. It means we need the grouping of each country and each month. So if we see transaction date 2018 12 18 and 2018 12 19, these are different dates but both have the same month 2018 12. Similarly, these two have the same month 2019 01. And then we have to figure out the number of transactions. So for example, on 12th month of 2018 there are 2 transactions, so we have to get the transaction as 2. Then we have to find their total amount. Okay, so what is the total amount of these two? So it is 2000 plus 1000, so 3000. Then we have to figure out the number of approved transactions. So from these 2 transactions, how many of these are approved? So only one is approved, so we'll return 1. And then their total amount. So for the approved transaction, what was the total amount? So let's see how we can code this one. So I have already created the table. So country USA, approved, declined, and all this thing. So first we have to group the transaction date with the country. So we can use 2 functions. First is I'll break this into the multiple subsections. Select from transactions, and then first we need to get the month. So if you'll say in the answer, this is month, we don't need the date. So first thing we can do is we can use sub str. This is a inbuilt function in the SQL which takes first argument as on which column you want to do the substring, then starting string and length of string. So let's say 2024 4 5 6 7, so we need 7 as month. Let's see if we are getting any results for this one. Okay, so I think it is not working here, so we can use date diff date format, so transaction date, and then the format we need is we need year, and then we need month. So if I run this one, okay, it is also not accepting. So let's directly write our code in lead code. I'll copy the code from here. So earlier we wrote sub str transaction date, and we can write 1,7 to get 2018 12 or 2019 01. Let's see. Okay, now we are getting the month as this one. Now we need to group using, because we need to find for each month and country. So we'll write country here, and then we'll put group by. So we need to group by month and country. So the first thing which we have to find is the number of transactions. So for these two, if I say the number of transaction will be, if I count the number of IDs, so it has 2 IDs. So if I take the count of IDs, then that can give me the number of transactions for this month 2018 12 and for the country US. So I can write count of ID as transaction count. Then the next thing which we have to find is number of transactions and their total amount. So what is the total amount for this one? So to get that amount we need to use the sum aggregation. So we will be adding using the sum, and this will give me the transaction total amount. Okay, so if we look at this, so for each month and country, so month and country, we are expecting the answer is 3000 because this is the total transaction amount. And we have to figure out approved count, number of approved transactions. So for that one, we know that if the state is approved, then that will be considered as approved transaction, otherwise it will be considered as declined. So if I use count function, so I want to count using case when state is approved, then I want to count this as 1, else I don't want to count anything. This will be my approved count. I can also use one more function here. I could have used if and then state, so both are same. You can use case when or if state equals to 1, if state equals to approved, then 1, else null. This will also do the same work, but for now we'll use case when state is approved, then 1, else null. This will be approved count, and we also want to get the approved transaction amount. So again we have to use sum. Here we have to use case statement, case when state is approved, then amount. So what this will do is it will check for these two records. If state is approved, then it will give the output as 1000. If it is not approved, then we have to write else 0, else don't add anything, and it will be as approved total amount. So let's see, month, now we got country, transaction count, then we need to get approved count. Okay, so we have to put it before here, and then we have to get transaction total amount and approved total amount. Now let's run this query. So we are getting one error. You haven't checked the man. Count ID as transaction count case when state is approved, then 1, else null as approved count. Okay, let me remove this one for now, and let's see if it is running. Let's see what's the error we are getting. We have an error SQL syntax. So let's say count case when state is approved, then 1. Okay, I have to put end, and here also end. Now let's run this one. So we are getting expected result, but and if I click on submit, so it got submitted. But instead of substr, we can also use date def or date format. So transaction date, and then we want format as year, and then we want month. So let's see, accepted, thank you.